Welcome to hour number 3, our third and final on this Friday before we send you into your weekend, the final weekend of Major League Baseball. Before we get to the All-Star break, that comes to us at the conclusion of action on Sunday. He is Donnie Rightside. I am Ben Stevens. One more hour to go. Plenty of baseball breakdowns coming your way here in this final hour, in the final half hour. But it's also a weekend of championships. The Euro final, Sunday afternoon, England and Spain. Is it finally coming home for the first time in more than 55 years? Are we going to see Argentina or Colombia take home the Copa America crown? We got the championships, Wimbledon. Donnie is fired up. The Scottish Open, the final leg of preparation before the Open Championship. So much to get to here in this third and final hour.
Big international flavor this weekend, right? I mean, you're taking a look at even like the Team USA trying to get back on the court. You're watching around the Olympics, how they're going to shape up. You know, you got the Genesis Open leading into the British Open next week. You got Wimbledon. So we got a worldwide appeal, but certainly Major League Baseball, we're going to enjoy this through this week because next week we're not going to have a lot of it here. And as I say every time, if you're taking RBI props, have at it. If you're taking base hit props, have at it here. Watch out for those favorites on Sunday with some of these players and teams checked out. And the minute that you see strike three in the bottom of the ninth inning, they're headed to private jets on vacations all over the world. Just be a little careful on Sunday.
Yeah, it's a really good point. It will factor into our baseball breakdowns and handicaps, and certainly so on an individual game basis come Sunday afternoon. We also had some hardware given out last night, awards, but not for performances in an actual league. The ESPYs out in Los Angeles, normally during the All-Star break when things are a little bit more quiet. This year they did it a week early. I feel like you got to take on that.
I do have a take on that, by the way. Like, the ESPYs used to be a big thing, and now they're not. But the reason why, Ben, they were a big thing is because there was nothing to watch during that week. So once again, whoever is in marketing, did they lose their job over this? Because you're not supposed to have an event that's one of your marquee events where maybe most of the people that are watching ESPN quite a bit during the day have no idea that the ESPYs are even coming on here. You had it during that week for a reason, and now you moved it here. Just terrible guidance here. I don't know who runs these things, Ben. Who does it?
Yeah, not entirely sure as well. Serena Williams was the host. We're used to seeing some comedians. The ESPYs used to be so significant in my life growing up. I would make sure that I was watching it. It was like my Oscars. I didn't care about the Academy Awards. I would have like an ESPYs viewing party. Now it's kind of lost a little bit of what?
That's pretty good. Where down the boys get together in Manhattan Beach? Where were we getting together in this environment?
For sure.
Where were we?
You know where I'm from, right? You know where I'm from.
Yeah, Orange County. Sure.
Orange County, the OC, brother.
Yeah.
I tell the boys, pull over in your board shorts, put on the flip-flops, let's watch a little of ESPYs, you know?
By the way, let me ask you a quick question here. Were you friends with the kids in Laguna Beach? Like, were you guys hanging out with them at all? Little Talon. Who else was in there? Steven.
Donnie Rightside was a fan of Laguna Beach, the MTV reality series?
Who wasn't back in the day? Like, everybody was in the Laguna Beach. Come on now.
Listen, Lauren Conrad might have been my first celebrity crush growing up. I would admit that. Kristen Cavallari, tying it back to sports. She was married to Jay Cutler. No longer is, I don't believe.
Yeah, whatever happened to Steve? Whatever happened to that guy?
He's probably still out there. A lot of gel in his hair. Not moving much like Joe Lisi's. I think probably something along the lines.
So it's just look at that, man. You got a lot of tentacles out there on the West Coast, so we got to tap in sometime here for us. So maybe we can have a couple next week. Maybe we'll relive a little Ben Stevens, childhood through high school.
That's what we could do, right? We could start playing EA Sports College Football 25, a live stream here.
Ben and Rick.
Me versus Donnie. Rick Horo? I don't think we're allowed to bring up his names here anymore. You know? We're having fun on this show today. I'll tell you that much right now. We wanted to hear from the people. Let's make sure the ESPYs was where the conversation got started. And before we get to our poll, best male athlete, the award given out to Patrick Mahomes, added to a Super Bowl championship and a Super Bowl MVP for a year filled with hardware for Mahomes. But is Patrick Mahomes truly the best male athlete in the world right now? That was our question in Fade the Public. The man that, whether he likes it or not, when he walks into the practice facility in KC, the cameras often catch him with the dad bod. Is Patrick Mahomes the best athlete in the world right now? Yes or no? We had a lot of votes, but a lot saying the same thing. More than 86% saying no, Mahomes is not the best male athlete in the world right now.
No, he's not the best male athlete in the world right now. He's the best male quarterback. Of course he is at this point. Maybe the most important player at his position in sports. Yes, but we're talking about athletes, which means running, jumping, just being an athlete. That's not Patrick Mahomes at this point. Now, granted, he's much more of an athlete than you would think, because I've seen him against my Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl on a bum ankle turn into Usain Bolt late in the fourth quarter to pick up first downs. But just being that pure athlete where I think he can hoop and play. Now, granted, we do have highlights of him in high school being a very good hooper, but he's not on the level of like a LeBron James or anybody in the NBA at this point that can certainly fly up and down that court. So there are levels to this game. In comparison to the average man, is he a great athlete? Absolutely. The best athlete in the world? Absolutely not.
I think the category is just athlete because it spans so many sports. It's not the definition of being athletic, but I do hear your point. The other nominees yesterday for best male athlete, Shohei Ohtani, Scotty Scheffler, and Connor McDavid. Do you think any of those other three guys were more justified in winning the award than Mahomes?
No, because last year, again, we just get back to, and this is fun because we start this NFL, avalanche coming up. Last year was the year to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. The only reason why the Kansas City Chiefs are world champions is because of their quarterback. Not as great wide receivers, not a great football team, going on the road basically the entirety of the NFL playoffs, which included beating Buffalo on the road and Baltimore on the road and beating maybe the best team in the NFL that we thought, the San Francisco 49ers. Absolutely, Patrick Mahomes deserved every bit of that award because that run last year, that showed the true test of what a champion really is, and that's Mahomes. He really deserved that.
I mean, I think when you look at Patrick Mahomes, there is little argument he is the best player in the National Football League. Look at the resume already for his career. That enough would get you a bust in Canton, Ohio, and he is only 28 years old, expected to add on. The Chiefs, a co-Super Bowl favorite alongside the San Francisco 49ers, three-time Super Bowl champ, three-time Super Bowl MVP, two-time NFL regular season MVP award winner, 2018, and 2022. He has been a Pro Bowler all 6 years. He has been the starting quarterback in KC. Donnie, what I find fascinating about your assessment of the NFL entering this year, I think many people are looking at the Chiefs and say, hey, they can't win 3 in a row. We've never seen a team in the history of the National Football League win 3 consecutive Lombardi trophies. You almost have a slightly different tune continuing to believe in KC.
Yeah, here's my tune. You tell me right now that Patrick Mahomes is healthy in Week 17. Not the playoff. Week 17, they win the Super Bowl. How about that? I'm done seeing Pat. Again, they were supposed to get beat. The rest of the AFC was to catch up to them. Everybody had them dead to rights, and nobody could beat them. Now they're better this year. Who's going to beat them? Who's betting against Andy Reid? Who's betting against Patrick Mahomes? Once again, it's football. Health is a big deal. He's 28 years old in the middle of his prime. If he's healthy, they're winning it again.
Completely agree, DRS. At least getting to the stage once again. 6 years as the starter in Kansas City. They have at least played in the AFC Championship game in all 6 of those years. 4 Super Bowl appearances in that span as well for the last 5 years. I don't think they're getting bounced by the wild card round or missing the playoffs altogether. A weekend of championships on the line next. DeMar DeRozan now joins that team in Sacramento with the Kings. De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, Devin Carter, who they drafted early, Keegan Murray as well. A Kings team, DRS, that has been a playoff contender.
Is it going to equate to a championship? Probably not. That's not the goal. Make your team better every offseason. The Kings definitely got better with that move here, Ben.
The early line. only on SportsGrid.
I think the one comparison that I'd like to make that reminds me of Tiger is Scotty's ability to make shots on a Sunday look like shots on a Thursday. And Tiger was so good at doing that too. In the high pressure leverage moments, he didn't lose a step. You know, he was still able to hit it pin high. He's still knocking down flag sticks. He doesn't miss-hit it.
Only on SportsGrid.
It is Canada. You know, Canada is one of those teams that's the darling of the tournament right now. They're still 9-1.
To win a tournament, or even to advance far into a tournament like this, you need a bit of good fortune. And it doesn't matter if you're getting the good fortune that Canada has, where they played 2 matches where they were up a man, or you had the good fortune of Argentina, who's one of the best teams in the world, who just got on the good side of the draw.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Watch out for USA and Canada in 4 years. Cricket's going to be a sport that's growing.
I made my first cricket bet last week or over the weekend. I was getting a team that was leading like 150 to 5 plus odds. I'm like, I'm up 150 points and I'm getting plus odds. Where do I sign? I love this cricket stuff. What are you kidding me?
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
You want some expertise around a weekend of winners and championships at stake? You came to the right place. So many trophies on the line this weekend, on the pitch, in the world of football or international soccer this summer. We have the Copa America title game in Miami on Sunday night between Argentina and Colombia. We have the European Championships final, the title game in Berlin, in Germany, between England and Spain. History at stake for the English and for the Spaniards as well. Let's start there, DRS, by looking at Championship Sunday in soccer. The Spaniards, a minus 142 favorite to hoist the cup. Again, these are not the 90-minute match bets. These are not anything that has to do with a specific match, just the overall result. It could be in extra time. It could be in PKs. Whoever wins that championship, these are the odds. Spain, minus 142. England, plus 120. The English looking for their first international title in a major tournament since 1966. For the nation that invented football, where they always ask, is it coming home? That is on the line on Sunday. Spain looking to win its 4th European championship. That would move past Germany and stand all alone for the Spanish to win the most ever Euro titles in the tournament's history.
The Spaniards probably the more talented team overall. We can probably agree. And also the odds makers at the FanDuel Sportsbook also agree as well, listed at a current price of minus 142 to lift the cup. You take a look at England at a plus 116 price, but sometimes you just have to take a look at getting there, which I believe now is the second time that England has done that, and also winning it are two different things. But you know what? We're not talking about the NBA Finals, and I bring this up quite a bit. It's not 7 games. Like, it's not like, hey, Spain's got to win 4 out of 7 against England. They can probably do that. It's 1 game. It's 1 penalty. It's 1 bad penalty that you take that gets you a red card to set you a man down. That's what you have to take a look at. So even though we do have the favorite, Spain, at minus 142, sometimes it's just England's time to win it here. They've been clutch all the way through. That should be a fun matchup, and why not take a slight price here on the underdog with England to win it?
Yeah, I think so as well. I don't, listen, again, we're not soccer experts by any means. Our guy Anthony DeBundo or many others around the network could break it down a lot better than we could. But I don't think anybody has been overwhelmingly outstanding. Like, Spain is the juggernaut. England's lucky to be here. The English style under Gareth Southgate is a little bit boring. England looked pretty good and aggressive in the semi on Wednesday against the Netherlands. And, of course, Ollie Watkins sending England to the title game. The first time they have reached a tournament title in a major international tournament off home soil in a very long time. Of course, they played in Wembley, asking, is it coming home at home during the European Championships in 2021, and came up short. Now to Copa America. What an atmosphere we are going to see on Sunday night in South Beach in Miami. Argentina and Lionel Messi, minus 180. Colombia, plus 152. If you want to see electricity, get ready for Sunday night in Miami with a Copa America title on the line.
Yeah, South Beach is going to be cooking there. The party, the celebrations, whichever team and whatever fan base wins, that is going to be absolutely epic. But I do agree when you look at the FanDuel Sportsbook, almost a 2-to-1 price favorite here for Argentina over Colombia to lift the cup. And I do think that makes some sense. The star power on Argentina, I do believe, will rise to the occasion here. But I'm looking forward to a really, really good matchup. And it would not surprise us, right? The best goal of this match could come down to Lionel Messi's foot, maybe even a penalty kick at that point. I do agree. Argentina, for me, moves on, and that price point there is certainly reflective of close to 2-to-1.
Argentina's path to the final has not been nearly as difficult as that of the Colombians. Argentina in the semifinal against Canada, a hefty favorite, made it look pretty easy. Messi scoring his first goal of this tournament early in the second half on a deflection right in front of the keeper. Colombia was tested in a big way. They played a man down for the entirety of the second half against Uruguay on Wednesday night over in Charlotte and held on for a victory. And, of course, the scenes in the stands after that. We hope for a great atmosphere like we saw in the Queen City during the match, but none of the extracurriculars on Sunday night in Miami. We do not anticipate that to be the case. It is just going to be incredible. So this is where we differ, Donnie, as we give out some weekend winners. I have, like you, think England wins, and it comes home on Sunday at the European Championship. At least I am buying into the narrative. But I think Colombia actually pulls the slight upset as the underdog over the world champs in Argentina in the Copa America title.
Yeah, I'm going to go England and Argentina. But by the way, on this too, like how big soccer is around the world, right? Of course, like there are a lot of people like soccer in the United States, and rightfully so. We just don't have a very good product that we put out at the highest level. But what happens like if England does win the Euro? Like, is that a national holiday for like at least Monday and Tuesday where nobody's going to work and you just hang out down at the, grab a pint of beer and celebrate and sing into all parts of the night? Because we know also in South America, you take a look at Argentina or Colombia, one of those teams winning it here, that is a national celebration. We love like the Super Bowl here, but it's more like provincial because we're not all celebrating if the Kansas City Chiefs win or the Philadelphia Eagles win a Super Bowl. Right. But it must be cool to have that national pride to do something as big as that, particularly in England, where it hasn't worked so many times over the past couple years. I would love to see the celebration for the English if they do win it.
Enjoy the ride, right? Enjoy Friday, Saturday, the preparation on Sunday. It is going to be huge. Of course, when you have expectation or hope, your heart can break a little bit harder than what would happen if you weren't even at the stage. But to be there yet again, the English feeling good, the Spanish feeling good, what a match it is going to be. And the celebration for any of these countries after a victory in these major international tournaments is going to be something to watch. By the way, speaking of international soccer, of course, the U.S. men's national team dismissing Greg Berhalter earlier this week. There was a small bit of hope that the U.S. could go land its biggest fish in this very critical moment ahead of the 2026 World Cup here on North American soil. Jurgen Klopp was apparently approached. He was the former manager of Liverpool about being our manager and very quickly said, "Nah, I'm good, guys."
Get the money right. Come on, man. Lakers, we can't be the Lakers of the world right now, not spending on coaches. Lay out that money. Bring these guys in.
Ask again. Ask again. Don't take no for an answer. We'll continue to give weekend winners next. DeMar DeRozan now joins that team in Sacramento with the Kings. De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, Devin Carter, who they drafted early, Keegan Murray as well. A Kings team, DRS, that has been a playoff contender.
Is it going to equate to a championship? Probably not. That's not the goal. Make your team better every offseason. The Kings definitely got better with that move here, Ben.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
I think the one comparison that I'd like to make that reminds me of Tiger is Scotty's ability to make shots on a Sunday look like shots on a Thursday. And Tiger was so good at doing that too. In the high pressure leverage moments, he didn't lose a step. You know, he was still able to hit it pin high. He's still knocking down flag sticks. He doesn't miss-hit it.
Only on SportsGrid.
It is Canada. You know, Canada is one of those teams that's the darling of the tournament right now. They're still 9-1.
To win a tournament or even to advance far into a tournament like this, you need a bit of good fortune. And it doesn't matter if you're getting the good fortune that Canada has, where they played 2 matches where they were up a man, or you had the good fortune of Argentina, who's one of the best teams in the world, who just got on the good side of the draw.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Watch out for USA and Canada in 4 years. Like cricket's going to be a sport that's growing.
I made my first cricket bet last week or over the weekend. I was getting a team that was leading like 150 to 5 plus odds. I'm like, I'm up 150 points and I'm getting plus odds. Where do I sign? I love this cricket stuff. What are you kidding me?
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
All right, away from the soccer pitch, more championships at stake this weekend internationally. The championships Wimbledon. The women's final is set. It is tomorrow on a Saturday at the All England Club. Semifinal Friday rolls on in the men's draw. Carlos Alcaraz lost the opening set to Daniil Medvedev, but did respond by winning the second set. He is already up 2-1 as I am seeing it here in set number 3. Has flipped back to a minus 185 favorite. He was minus 350 before the match got underway. Does that scare Donnie Rightside at all with who his pick was to win the men's Wimbledon crown?
I think we might be headed to a 5th match here, and that's the way it only can happen, where you want to outlast that superstar young player that Alcaraz is. Yeah, what is it, a game? What is it, match? What is it, set?
It'll be a set, Donnie. It'd be a set.
Hold on. All right. Let's go down this path then. Forget it. Nobody cares about me picking Medvedev, right? Here's what I want to do again. Every once in a while I get down to this when we talk tennis at this point. 15, 30, 45. What is this sport? How about 1, 2, 3? Like in wrestling, like in anything here. It's very simple to understand. We don't need 15, 30, 45. What is it? Again, was it a watch face? Is that like, hey, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 40? Like, is that what it was? Who was thinking 1, 2, 3 tennis? You want to bring the U.S. environment into this where we watch it? 1, 2, 3. It's as simple as that. How about that from Med?
Didn't even bring up Love. Joe Frizo, our producer, tennis aficionado, who was here on the show breaking down Wimbledon before it got started. Is there a reason, Joe, that it's 15, 30, 40 in Love? Okay, he has no idea. That's fine. But his pick before, and I don't mean to call out Frizo, the 2022 Wimbledon champ, on the women's draw, Elena Rybakina, upset yesterday by Barbora, I think I'm getting her name right, Barbora Krejcikova. That's right. I got it right. Fantastic. Krejcikova, who is the favorite for tomorrow's women's final against Jasmine Paolini, the young Italian who is playing in her 2nd consecutive Grand Slam final. Made it in Paris, but of course going up against Iga Swiatek on clay. That's tough. By the way, Frizo and I looked into this, really just Frizo, but we were having the conversation. Swiatek minus 195 to win the gold medal because they'll play it in Paris at Roland Garros for tennis as well. Probably not a bad bet. Donnie, both you and I like Paulina to get the job done. Yeah. Paolini, to get the job done tomorrow against Krejcikova.
Yeah, exactly. Paolini is going to pay out the winner. That's all you need to know at this point. So that's the way we went. We sided, we joined up, and we're ready to rock. Look, that's going to be 2 names you see in the final that you're not used to seeing in a final. Let's go. Somebody's got to win one of these.
So, Donnie, as Joe Frizo has just looked this up, the origins of tennis's 15-30-40 scoring system are believed to be medieval French. The earliest reference to the scores is in a 1435 ballad that uses the term 45. I believe that's how you say that, which means 45.
Yeah, maybe they should have just went to medieval times and had one of those huge like turkey sticks at that point.
Turkey
came
legs.
up with it at that
Heck
point.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That stuff is
Come
fire,
on now.
man.
Medieval times. Get out of here.
I'd have a pint in a goblet at medieval times. Anyway, the other international championship that we have now, actually a co-sanctioned PGA Tour event with the DP World Tour, that's over in Scotland ahead of next week's Open Championship, the fourth and final major this year in the world of golf at Royal Troon, the Scottish Open. Round number 2 already coming to a close out in that event in Scotland. Ludwig Åberg still sits in first at 12 under par. He is the tournament favorite currently on the FanDuel Sportsbook at plus 210. You and I, DRS, both eating the chalk on Åberg.
Yeah, it's his time at this point. Quite frankly, maybe he was just open up the app this morning, saw him at first place. Like, yeah, let me just take the guy in first place. But there is a chance that Rory McIlroy, who I didn't see was actually doing today, because I know he teed off around 9 o'clock. Rory is, my screen's still frozen, so I don't know if he's any better than 5 under, but that's certainly got to watch out for. But it's so simple. Take a really good golfer like Ludwig is and take him to win this thing since he's in first place. Makes the most sense for me right now.
Right now, it is Åberg and McIlroy. 2-1 price on Ludwig, plus 330 on Rory, who is the reigning champ at the Scottish.
Oh, he's 8
Open.
under Rory. Wow.
Oh, he's making a move. Those two separated by just $1.30. Sung Jae Im, third best price at 12-1. A ton of golfers at 12-1 with Colin Morikawa as well. If I may do my best Donnie Rightside rant here, Ludwig Åberg is the pronunciation that he uses. He is the tall Swede despite playing his college golf at Texas Tech. Some call him Ludwig Åberg, and I think many have learned that it's at least Åberg. We got to figure out the pronunciation. Åberg himself says Åberg, but some people still stick with Åberg.
Yeah.
My Donnie Rightside rant is done. Donnie's baseball breakdown's next. DeMar DeRozan now joins that team in Sacramento with the Kings. De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, Devin Carter, who they drafted early, Keegan Murray as well. A Kings team, DRS, that has been a playoff contender.
Is it going to equate to a championship? Probably not. But that's not the goal. Make your team better every offseason. The Kings definitely got better with that move here, Ben.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
I think the one comparison that I'd like to make that reminds me of Tiger is Scotty's ability to make shots on a Sunday look like shots on a Thursday. And Tiger was so good at doing that too. In the high pressure leverage moments, he didn't lose a step. You know, he was still able to hit it pin high. He's still knocking down flag sticks. He doesn't miss-hit it.
Only on SportsGrid.
It is Canada. You know, Canada is one of those teams that's the darling of the tournament right now. They're still 9-1.
To win a tournament, or even to advance far into a tournament like this, you need a bit of good fortune. And it doesn't matter if you're getting the good fortune that Canada has, where they played 2 matches where they were up a man, or you had the good fortune of Argentina, who's one of the best teams in the world, who just got on the good side of the draw.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Watch out for USA and Canada in 4 years. Like cricket's going to be a sport that's growing.
I made my first cricket bet last week or over the weekend. I was getting a team that was leading like 150-5 plus odds. I'm like, I'm up 150 points and I'm getting plus odds. Where do I sign? I love this cricket stuff. What are you kidding me?
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
The final weekend of Major League Baseball action before the All-Star break. Now, it's the unofficial midway point of the year because we're well past 90 games of 162 in this MLB regular season, but still it allows us that time to reset everything for the home stretch following the Mid-Summer Classic. One final set. Some have already started. 3 game sets that start today on this Friday. And DRS, potentially none bigger than the one we are going to see in Baltimore between the 2 top teams in the American League East, the Orioles and the Yankees. If you would have told us the Yankees dropped 2 of 3 games against the Rays, that the Pinstripes have lost 17 of their last 23, in Baltimore right before this set had won 8 of their last 13 hosting the Chicago Cubs for a 3-game set inside Camden Yards, we would have said, man, Baltimore's probably up by 5.5, 6 games in the American League East before the All-Star break. No, just a 2-game advantage as the O's were swept at home by the Chicago Cubs during their midweek set. And today it's not expected to get any easier for the Orioles. They're the home underdog against Garrett Cole and the Yankees.
Yeah, you see that 9 there, and you say to yourself, okay, Yankees bats, Baltimore bats, where I sign up, and including the pitching matchup we'll get to in just a few moments. But I don't know what's going on with that Baltimore offense that has been so prolific. And granted, we understand baseball's a long season. You're going to go through lulls in your offense. You're going to go through lulls on your pitching staff and your bullpen. It just seems to be happening at the wrong time for the Orioles. But this is a massive matchup. If we're taking a look at Cade Povich, who does most of his innings, or I should say pitch most of his innings on the road this year. But if we are looking here, Ben, at just the past 60 days with a minimum total of 20 innings pitched, Povich is the worst pitcher on the card today. How about this? You know, I talk about that XFIP minus number. 100 is the baseline. Below that, very good. Above that, not so good. He's got a 147. So again, 100 is average. He's a 147.
Yeah.
You take a look at his ERA over those 60 days, if you're into that, 6.51. You want to take a look at his XFIP number. When we talk about that, it's similar to ERA. Like, you want that 350 or less. He's at a 5.99. So effectively, he's at a 6 XFIP number. Now, granted, you look at that Yankees lineup that hasn't been sensational over the past 30 days. Judge, Soto, Torres, who does have a high ISO power number, and also Jones, who only has 13 at-bats against left-handed pitching with some decent numbers. It doesn't show that great, but Povich has been really bad against lefty and righty batters as a left-handed pitcher. You flip it over to Baltimore. Yes, their lineup typically shows very good against right-handed pitchers, and we don't technically know what we're still getting out of Garrett Cole. But having said that, I really know it looks like what I'm getting out of Povich, which isn't a great pitcher. Their offense has been struggling. There's a chance that we get 5 to 6 innings pitched that are quality out of Garrett Cole, and that should be enough. I like the Yankees tonight in Baltimore. Crazy, man. They are slipping down here, and we might even see a role reversal in the AL East race here by the time we get to the All-Star break. That would be crazy, but I like the Yanks tonight.
Put a pin in it right now. Before this final weekend set of the first half, before the All-Star break begins, Baltimore has a 2-game advantage over New York. The O's minus 130 to win the division. The Pinstripes even money plus 100. These 2 clubs, of course, divisional rivals, have already met 7 times this year. And Baltimore has had New York's number. They've won 5 of 7. A 4-game set in May inside Camden. The O's won 3 of 4 just about 3 weeks ago up in the Bronx at Yankee Stadium. Baltimore won the final 2 games of that 3-game series to win the set. So Baltimore has had the upper hand on New York. But, Donnie, how much can change in 3 weeks? Even after losing the series against Baltimore about 3 weeks ago, the Yankees had a 1.5 lead over the Orioles in the division. Now the O's in front by 2 games. Again, the Yankees have dropped 17 of their last 23 games entering this set against the Baltimore Orioles. Now we go to an American League East team that's back to 10 games above 500, the Red Sox. Tanner Houck in the final game of their series against the A's yesterday at home, absolutely dealing. 6 innings of 2-hit baseball, shutout work against Oakland. Boston wins 7-zip. Now they welcome in the Kansas City Royals. This is a series I will be in attendance for tomorrow afternoon on a Saturday in Beantown. My first ever trip to Fenway in game number 1. No starter named as of this moment, at least according to FanDuel, for Boston. Cole Reagan's out there for KC. Reagan's an all-star for the Royals this year.
Yes, and also Reagan's has been a very good pitcher this season. Now, also, we've been blessed with some really good weather conditions on the East Coast. Forget about some of the rain that we're getting in that, tri-state area of New York, Delaware, and also Pennsylvania. Let's take a look at this, though. 81 degrees, wind blowing out the dead center field at 10 miles an hour. That's always tough at Fenway to deal with. But if we're taking a look at Cole Reagans here, from his just away starts, he's actually done very well. You take a look at him here. How about this? A 3.04 ERA, which equates to a 3.42 xFIP through 50.1 innings pitched this season on the road. That's really good. That'll help you out. And right now, we're showing for the Boston Red Sox, Cooper Criswell is the starting pitcher. Now, granted, doesn't have a lot of starts over the past 30 days, but on the season, 218 batters he's faced, been a 155 ISO, which you'll take that, and a manageable weighted on base percentage of 3.07. 10 runs it takes to get to that total, but it's so tough in a ballpark there. Like we talk about so many times, like let's just say in Philadelphia, you need great pitching. I think you're going to get solid pitching on both sides, which does lend itself to an under. So until we see the official starting lineups here, which include the pitchers, you probably have a slight lean towards the under, but that could change depending who's on the mound here for Boston.
9 is the total. Some storms in the Northeast. I'm a little bit worried about the game tomorrow, scheduled to start around 4 p.m. Eastern time with some storms predicted in Boston. Hope I can get there. Never been to Fenway. Very, very excited. And the Red Sox could be rolling into that game on Saturday. Speaking of a team on a roll, the fork is gone. It is broken. It might never come out again. The Houston Astros, 49-44, 5 games above 500, the most they have been above 500 all season long. Houston has won 16 of its last 20 games, an in-state showdown, a divisional rivalry, as they get ready to host the Texas Rangers, the reigning World Series champs, this weekend in H-Town. Minus 148. Now the updated number on the Stros, total at 8. What do you like for the start of this set between Texas and Houston?
This is a big series. It certainly is, as you're going to see a couple of those here heading into that, what we call the unofficial halfway point at the All-Star break. Some of these teams getting momentum, which is what you want. Some of these teams going to be losing steam, which is certainly not what you want. You take a look at Andrew Heaney on the mound going up against Hunter Brown. You usually say to yourself, not really household names, but both of these guys have been in decent form over the past 60 days. And also taking a look at that Houston offense going up against left-handed pitching. It hasn't fared all that well. Altuve's done well, Bregman's done well, and Dubon has done well. The rest of that lineup, not so much against left-handed pitching. And also keep in mind, Andrew Heaney maybe had a little bit of a rough start to the season. Past 30 days, 119 batters he's faced, a 148 ISO and a weighted on base percentage of 297. That sets up pretty well. Flip it over to Hunter Brown. How about this, Ben? Over the past 30 days, an 060 ISO and a weighted on base percentage of 264. Feels a little bit like playoff baseball. Even though that's a true hitter's ballpark, I'm leaning more towards the under than a side in this one.
Not just an in-state showdown, not just divisional foes. Of course, a rematch of last year's ALCS. These two teams have faced each other 7 times this year. Houston's won 4. Texas has won 3. The Astros winners of 16 of their last 20. The Rangers looking a little bit better. A little bit more like the ilk of a World Series champ defending that crown. They've won 7 of their last 10, but still 5 games below 500. Houston only 2 games back of Seattle for the top spot in the American League West. The Guardians lost 3 of 4 against the Tigers, but still, because the O's have struggled, maintain that best record in the American League. They're on the road tonight in the Trop, where the Rays are a home favorite. The Rays better baseball as well, with a victory today, as the odds expect. Tampa back to 500 for the first time in a while.
You saw it yesterday. We talked about a game where they had the Cleveland Guardians going against a team that you thought might be inferior in Detroit. And I told you, Detroit was the better team yesterday and won. You might see that number again pop up today. Sign me up. Cleveland Guardians getting plus money. Don't do it. Taj Bradley this season at home, one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. Take a look at this, Ben. 41 innings pitched at home this year. An ERA, 1.76. An xFIP of 2.56. Carlos Carrasco hasn't been near the pitcher that Taj Bradley has been, at least analytically here. You know what's going to happen today? The Rays are going to beat the Guardians, and that slide is going to continue for another day.
I like the look, DRS. I really do. More baseball breakdowns around the final weekend of MLB next. DeMar DeRozan now joins that team in Sacramento with the Kings. De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, Devin Carter, who they drafted early, Keegan Murray as well. A Kings team, DRS, that has been a playoff contender.
Is it going to equate to a championship? Probably not. But that's not the goal. Make your team better every offseason. The Kings definitely got better with that move here, Ben.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
I think the one comparison that I'd like to make that reminds me of Tiger is Scotty's ability to make shots on a Sunday look like shots on a Thursday. And Tiger was so good at doing that too. In the high pressure leverage moments, he didn't lose a step. You know, he was still able to hit it pin high. He's still knocking down flag sticks. He doesn't miss-hit it.
Only on SportsGrid.
It is Canada. You know, Canada is one of those teams that's the darling of the tournament right now. They're still 9-1.
To win a tournament, or even to advance far into a tournament like this, you need a bit of good fortune. And it doesn't matter if you're getting the good fortune that Canada has, where they played 2 matches where they were up a man, or you had the good fortune of Argentina, who's one of the best teams in the world, who just got on the good side of the draw.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Watch out for USA and Canada in 4 years. Like cricket's going to be a sport that's growing.
I made my first cricket bet last week or over the weekend. I was getting a team that was leading like 150 to 5 plus odds. I'm like, I'm up 150 points and I'm getting plus odds. Where do I sign? I love this cricket stuff. What are you kidding me?
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
The World Series favorites, the LA Dodgers, might go stumbling into the All-Star break. Swept this week in Philadelphia, and resoundingly so by the Phils. LA was the underdog in all 3 games at the bank, as you might expect, against the Phils. They lost all 3, 8 times still only this year for the Dodgers, booked as an underdog and just 2-6 straight up. But an underdog in Detroit? That can only mean one thing. Tarek Skubal is on the bump for the Tigers. Detroit's won 8 of its last 11 games as well. Donnie, will the Dodgers bounce back, or is this the worst spot you could hope to kind of show some resilience against the American League Cy Young frontrunner?
Yeah, man, on the road, licking your wounds after leaving Philadelphia and saying, all right, we get the big maple on the mound. Let's see what we can do against the lowly Detroit Tigers. And then you get Tarek Skubal, maybe the best pitcher of Major League Baseball, to counter you. That's not going to be great. If you just take a look at numbers, first of all, we understand how talented that lineup is for the Dodgers 1 through 9, still without Mookie Betts. It's much more talented than the Detroit Tigers, but you could argue that same thing yesterday. The Tigers weren't as talented as the plate going up against the Guardians, still won the game. Why? Because the pitcher is so much better on the mound. You take a look at Tarek Skubal this year, and if we're just going on home starts alone, since once again the game is in Detroit, he's been fantastic. How about this? A 1.74 ERA at home through 51 2/3 innings, a 3.05 xFIP, so a little bit higher, but still, it's in that very good grade. You flip it over to Paxton, one of those guys you've heard me talk about quite a bit this year. Sometimes you just take a look at that ERA and say to yourself, well, he should be pretty good, but the xFIP numbers and the analytical numbers are sky high. Why? Walks too many batters, doesn't strike out enough, and gives up fly balls. That's a recipe for disaster. Even though that Detroit lineup is not very good against left-handed pitching, I still think Detroit wins this game, but more importantly, I think we stay under the total in this game. A few runs out of Detroit could be enough to beat the mighty Dodger bats here. So there you go.
The Tigers not the greatest offensively. Yesterday, though, plating 12. Matt Vierling was great 2 days ago. Riley Green, 3 ribbies yesterday, and the big victory for the Tigers. Again, they swept the Reds over the weekend. They take 3 of 4 against the team atop their own division in the American League Central, the Cleveland Guardians. Tarek Skubal, in his most recent start, 13 Ks. I believe it was on Sunday. His strikeout prop today against L.A., just 6.5. The over has the heavy juice. Now, a couple of months ago during the college basketball season, I took issue with a game played in Tulsa, Oklahoma between the Memphis Tigers and I believe it was Tulsa, called a Midwest matchup. I take issue here with the Atlanta Braves in San Diego. East versus West? Does anybody consider Atlanta East? South, I would get. Southeast. Oh, no, it's not. You were telling our producer, Joe Frieso. All right. I'll let that one pass. That National League East versus National League West. The Braves minus 118 as a road favorite in San Diego. They were riding a 4-game win streak, were the Atlanta Braves, DRS, before they lost the final 2 games in Arizona. The Padres, they were looking pretty good before meeting the D-backs over the weekend. Now a home underdog against Atlanta.
By the way, I do believe back in the day, the Atlanta Braves were in the NL West, and in the NFL, the Atlanta Falcons were also in the Western Conference or the Western Division, which is kind of crazy that you think about it here. And why the Dallas Cowboys are in the NFC East, don't get me started on that at all. We have plenty of time next week to argue the merits of that. But if we take a look at this game, yeah, exactly. We're loading up next week with topics that we don't want to spoil this week. Spencer Schwellenbach on the mound. Last time we saw him, Ben, very good outing against the Philadelphia Phillies. We'll see if that continues today. But the question is going to be Randy Vasquez, the pitcher on the mound for the San Diego Padres. Can he hold up against the Atlanta Braves? Now, when we say hold up, what does that mean? 2-3 runs that the Braves typically have going up against that roster. I do think they're in a decent bounce-back spot because Vasquez at home this year, 31 2/3 innings pitched, a 3.41 ERA, which isn't bad. But you take a look at that xFIP number at home, it balloons up to close to 5, which once again means too many walks, not enough strikeouts, too many fly balls here. If we're lining this up, and maybe Schwellenbach just needed a couple starts to calm down, he should be going up against a lineup that is really talented from San Diego. Keep in mind also, some of the reports coming out today that we are expected to get back Xander Bogaerts into the lineup. That could be a boost for that. We'll see if that comes up, but I'm going to trust the Atlanta Braves. Bounce back spot here, low scoring game. Those are the games where you trust the Braves.
The Braves did not score a single run yesterday, shut down by Brandon Pfaadt. Again, Eugenio Suarez, the only run yesterday in Arizona. The Diamondbacks will play host to the Toronto Blue Jays. We'll talk about that game in just a moment. Let's go to the northern part of California. That's the San Francisco Giants taking on the Minnesota Twins. The Twins, a minus 142 favorite, total at 7.5 that barely creeped over yesterday. Now, the Guardians still have a 4.5-game lead in the American League Central, but the Twins only 4.5 games back. Could be a big weekend for the Twins. The Guardians, a road underdog to start their weekend set today in the Trop. The Twins, a road favorite by the Bay against the Giants.
Yeah, Twins, by the way, road starts here for Joe Ryan this year, 55 innings pitched. So you got a pretty good, nice backs-tested number, a 2.78 ERA and an xFIP of 3.38. And also, you're not going on the road here and saying, like, I don't know how it's going to hold up in Colorado or Philadelphia. You're pitching in one of the best pitchers' ballparks in Major League Baseball. That's going to help. And what do we love about the Minnesota batters here going up against lefties? Typical lineups will struggle. That is not the case here for the Minnesota Twins. How about if I told you 8 of the 9 projected batters, all 325 or higher weighted on base percentages? The only one that's below is Jose Miranda. Everybody else, listen to this, 650, 689, 460, 478, 618, 329, 482, and 366. Minnesota today, the better pitcher on the mound and the better lineup. That should equate to a victory out in San Francisco.
Keep an eye on the rook for Minnesota, Brooks Lee. 2 home runs already in his 9 Major League Baseball career games, plus 170 to record a ribby tonight. I mentioned this game, the Arizona Diamondbacks, home favorite against the Toronto Blue Jays. The Jays taking the final 2 games of a set in San Francisco. What do you like in Phoenix?
Yeah, in Phoenix, we should get some runs here, particularly from the Toronto Blue Jays. Ryan Nelson, one of the pitchers that I do love to fade at home, 35 innings pitched, Ben. How about an ERA of 6.69 and an xFIP number of 4.83? On your roster tonight, Springer, Horowitz, and Guerrero should be there for some RBI opportunities for those Toronto Blue Jays.
I can't wait to see what the Blue Jays do in the next few weeks. Again, they're at the basement of the American League East. 7 games below 500, 43-50 with an incredibly talented roster. Might they look to sell at the deadline? We shall see. Some more baseball breakdowns and a best bet of them all up next. DeMar DeRozan now joins that team in Sacramento with the Kings. De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, Devin Carter, who they drafted early, Keegan Murray as well. A Kings team, DRS, that has been a playoff contender.
Is it going to equate to a championship? Probably not. But that's not the goal. Make your team better every offseason. The Kings definitely got better with that move here, Ben.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
I think the one comparison that I'd like to make that reminds me of Tiger is Scotty's ability to make shots on a Sunday look like shots on a Thursday. And Tiger was so good at doing that too. In the high pressure leverage moments, he didn't lose a step. You know, he was still able to hit it pin high. He's still knocking down flag sticks. He doesn't miss-hit it.
Only on SportsGrid.
It is Canada. You know, Canada is one of those teams that's the darling of the tournament right now. They're still 9-1.
To win a tournament, or even to advance far into a tournament like this, you need a bit of good fortune. And it doesn't matter if you're getting the good fortune that Canada has, where they played 2 matches where they were up a man, or you had the good fortune of Argentina, who's one of the best teams in the world, who just got on the good side of the draw.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Watch out for USA and Canada in 4 years. Like cricket's going to be a sport that's growing.
I made my first cricket bet last week or over the weekend. I was getting a team that was leading like 150 to 5 plus odds. I'm like, I'm up 150 points and I'm getting plus odds. Where do I sign? I love this cricket stuff. What are you kidding me?
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
The Cardinals had an interesting week. It was a show-me state showdown against the Kansas City Royals, but game number 1 was rained out, so they played a doubleheader on Wednesday. That was really the only action for the Redbirds. Now they get ready to host a 4-game set in only 3 days before the All-Star break against the Chicago Cubs. A doubleheader and a makeup game tomorrow on a Saturday. St. Louis has been playing pretty good baseball as of late, despite losing both of the games in the doubleheader against KC at home. They've still won 12 of their last 19 since the end of June. Chicago playing really good baseball, sweeping the O's on the road, winners of 4 straight, winners of 6 of their last 7, and yet with Sonny Gray on the bump today under the arch, St. Louis booked as nearly a $2 favorite at home. Will the odds be the result at the end of the game?
If you're looking, again, this is why we love baseball, man. Day to day, it's just about the pitchers on the mound and how they match up with each other. You can't say with a straight face, oh, look at that. The Chicago Cubs just went in and torched one of the best teams in baseball. They should be able to handle St. Louis, and getting that much of a price, here's the reason why. Take a look at Sonny Gray, who's going to be on the mound today for the St. Louis Cardinals at home this year, Ben. Absolutely phenomenal. 52 innings pitched. How about a 1.90 ERA and an xFIP of 2.58? Say, wow, that's really good. How are we going to counter that with Kyle Hendricks on the mound? Well, just take a look at his road-home splits here. On the road for him, 33 2/3 innings pitched. Typically, you'd say to yourself, like, man, it must be a joy to get out of Wrigley, right? You pitch much better. How about an 8.55 ERA and an xFIP over 5? You look at that St. Louis lineup today, they should be able to torch. Weather conditions, not going to help out all that much wind conditions-wise. 4 miles an hour from right foul pole to left foul pole, mid-80s temperatures, but there is a distinct pitching mismatch on the mound today. And in baseball, your momentum is only as good as your starting pitcher the next day. The better starting pitcher is with St. Louis. They'll win this game.
A full slate on this Friday, a full weekend around Major League Baseball. The first half unofficially of this year comes to a close on Sunday evening. Then we get into the All-Star break. The next time we speak, it will be Monday. We'll be previewing the Home Run Derby. We'll be looking back at the weekend that was and using the time to reset at the All-Star break for what we can expect down the home stretch of 162 games in this Major League Baseball season. Donnie, as you look around the weekend slate in MLB, of course, there's the series in Baltimore between the Orioles and the Yankees. What are the Phils going to do to add to their lead against the Oakland Athletics? Can the Dodgers bounce back from being swept this week in Philadelphia, this weekend in Detroit? What series above all is going to get your most attention?
I don't know if it's a singular series, but I just want to see how some of those, because sometimes you forget about it, Ben. You check the standings, like at the end of the weekend. I'm really going to check them this week to see how they project. You just want to see some of those baseball teams. Like if you are watching in one series, it's probably the Yankees and the Orioles, because if you have a good series by the Yankees, that not only is going to propel them back into the lead, but also that's a devastating slide for the Orioles that we were talking about at the beginning of the week. They could be up 5+ games. That would be crisis mode in Baltimore at that point.
Yeah. It's a really good point. I'm also going to keep an eye on the New York Mets. They're now into a wild card spot. Tied for the third and final wild card spot with the San Diego Padres after sweeping the Nationals and plating 7 and blanking the Nats yesterday at home at Citi Field. The Grimace Mets are here to stay. Since Grimace threw out the first pitch way back on, I believe it was June 12th, the Mets are currently 19-8 in that time frame. All right, now a best bet to send you into the weekend. Before we say farewell, before we say goodbye, it is time for bye.
Bye.
Joe Lisi makes another impact here on the show. Donnie, I know you got a baseball best bet to set the stage for this weekend. What is it and why?
I was going to go to Philadelphia with our guy, Hogan Harris, brother, but he's going to get chopped up there pretty easily. But we are actually going to go with Aaron Judge to get an RBI at a -110 price. The worst pitcher on the card today, I told you, is Cade Povich at a 147 xFIP minus. Aaron Judge hammers left-handed pitching. He'll get that RBI. So, brothers, in arms, these Pythons are going to lead us to victory. Go.
I don't know if you're allowed to do that after Tony Khan came on the network earlier this week, but what a shout out to
Tony, sign Hogan.
Sign
Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah, maybe so. Bring him back. Anyway, I'm going to look, by the way, at some tennis. Carlos Alcaraz now up 2-1 over Daniil Medvedev. Take Alcaraz to win his second straight Wimbledon, -120, even to beat Novak Djokovic. Sorry, Joe Frizo. By the way, the bottom of the screen, let's go back to the two-shot. Bottom of the screen says, Donnie, have fun tomorrow on In-Game Live? Donnie, IGL on Saturday? Have a great time.
I'm calling out, baby. I'm calling out, baby.
Talk to you Monday.
Nashville, help me welcome to the stage the captain of Crushers GC and the 2024 U.S. Open champion, Bryson DeChambeau!
Gosh, I'm trying to hold it in right now. The support's been overwhelming.
Tickets for Nashville this week are nearly sold out. We are calling this the Bryson effect.
I mean, with how much support we have out here, and it's just the start, that's a testament to what Live Golf is and what the Crushers are doing, what our team's doing, and what we're trying to do for Nashville and places all across the globe. So super excited for the future of Live.
It was nice to at least walk down the last few holes, or at least the last hole, knowing that it was pretty much done. It's never safe, but very proud of everybody, and of course Tiro. I mean, what a week to get his first win in a few years and win by 6 in an absolutely dominant performance the way he did. It was absolutely incredible, so I couldn't be happier for him.
Certainly with not winning for 3.5 years, you kind of naturally question if you
if you can do it again. So I'm just proud of myself to be able to get through that and play the way I did.